I decided to visit my husband at his job. As a CEO, at the entrance there was a sign that said authorized personnel. Only when I told the guard I was the CEO's wife, she laughed and said, "Ma'am, I see his wife every day. There. She is coming out right now." So I decided to play along. The security guard at Meridian Technologies laughed when I told her I was Nolan's wife. "Ma'am, I see his wife here every day. There she is right now, actually." She pointed toward the glass doors. A woman in a charcoal Tom Ford suit was walking through the lobby, early 40s, confident stride, expensive watch catching the afternoon light, the kind of woman who looked like she belonged cover of Forbes. "Miss Sterling," the guard called out. "Your husband's still in his 3 o'clock. Should be done in about 20. The woman, Ren Sterling, according to her security badge, nodded and headed toward the elevator bank. She hadn't seen me yet. I was standing off to the side holding a takeout bag from Osteria, Nolan's favorite Italian place downtown. My heart was doing something strange in my chest. Not racing, just stopping and starting like a car engine misfiring. 28 years. I've been married to Nolan for 28 years, and apparently he had another wife at work. Run, pressed the elevator button, pulled out her phone, started scrolling. Every instinct I had screamed at me to confront her, to walk over there and ask her what the hell she thought she was doing, calling herself my husband's wife, to make a scene, to demand answers. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the way the security guard had said it, so casual, so certain, like it was common knowledge, like everyone knew, everyone except me. "You know what?" I said to the guard, keeping my voice steady. "I think I have the wrong building. I'm looking for Coratech Pharmaceuticals, not Meridian Tech." The guard looked confused. "You said you were Mr. Sterling's wife." I said I was a friend of the family. "Cora's my name. Must have gotten my wires crossed." I forced a laugh. "Been a long day." I set the takeout bag on the security desk. "Actually, could you make sure Nolan gets this? Just say Cora dropped it off. Family friend." The guard shrugged. "Sure thing." I walked out before my legs could give out. I'd been married to Nolan since 1996. Met him when we were both 23. Me, fresh out of my accounting degree. Him finishing his MBA at Northwestern. He was brilliant, ambitious, the kind of man who made plans in 5-year increments and actually followed through. I was the steady one, the practical one, the one who managed our finances, kept our home running, made sure the bills were paid, and the retirement accounts were funded. Nolan always said I was his foundation, that he could take risks in his career, because he knew I'd keep everything stable at home. He'd climbed fast. Director at 30, VP at 35, CEO of Meridian Technologies at 43, a tech company specializing in AI-driven logistics software. He'd turned it from a struggling startup into a $200 million operation in 8 years. I was proud of him, so damn proud. I'd supported every late night, every business trip, every weekend he spent reviewing financials instead of going to dinner with me, because that's what you do when you love someone. You support their dreams. We didn't have kids. Nolan had never wanted them, said they'd derail his career trajectory. I'd been disappointed at first, but I'd accepted it. His career was his baby. I understood that, or I thought I did. Now I was sitting in my car in the Meridian Technologies parking lot, hands gripping the steering wheel, trying to process what I'd just seen. Ren Sterling, Nolan's VP of Operations. I'd met her exactly once at a company holiday party 2 years ago. Tall woman, charismatic, Nolan had introduced her as one of my rising stars and spent most of the evening talking shop with her while I made small talk with the other spouses. I'd thought nothing of it. Why would I? I trusted my husband, but the security guard had called her MS. Sterling had said she saw Nolan's wife every day, not girlfriend, not a partner, wife. I didn't go home right away, couldn't face the empty house, the one I'd spent the day cleaning, the one where I'd made Nolan's favorite lasagna for dinner, the one where I'd been planning to surprise him with tickets to see Hamilton next month for our anniversary. Instead, I drove to a coffee shop 3 blocks away and sat in a corner booth with a black coffee. I didn't. Phone buzzed at 6:47 p.m. Nolan, working late again. Don't wait up. Love you. I stared at that message for a long time. Love you. Did he actually love me, or was I just the backup plan? The safety net? The one who paid half the mortgage while he lived a double life? I typed and deleted a dozen responses before settling on, okay, there's lasagna in the fridge. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared. Again, you're the best. See you late tonight. I put my phone face down on the table and tried to breathe. Nolan came home at 11:23 p.m. I was in the living room pretending to read a book. Actually, I'd been staring at the same page for 3 hours. Hey, he said, dropping his bag by the door. He looked tired, hair slightly mussed shirt, collar open, the faint trace of a perfume that wasn't mine. How was your day? I asked. My voice sounded normal. I was surprised by that. Exhausting. Back-to-back meetings all afternoon. Board presentation at 4 o'clock. Then run and I had to go through the Q3 projections. He headed to the kitchen. Did you say there's lasagna? Yeah, in the fridge. I listened to him move around the kitchen, the microwave humming, the refrigerator opening and closing, the familiar sounds of my husband existing. In our home. Was it even our home anymore? Or had that become a lie? 2, he came back with a plate of reheated lasagna and sat in the armchair across from me. This is perfect. I'm starving. I actually stopped by your office today, I said casually. Brought you lunch from Osteria. He paused mid-bite just for a second, a tiny hesitation that most people wouldn't notice. But I've been married to him for 28 years. I noticed. You did. I didn't get anything. I gave it to Run. Sterling figured she could pass it along. Oh, he took another bite. Chewed, swallowed. She didn't mention it. Maybe it got lost in the shuffle. Busy day, you know. He was lying perfectly, not a single crack in his composure. How is Run? I asked. Nice woman. She's great. Best VP I've ever worked with. Really gets the vision. You know, we're in sync on pretty much everything. In sync. That's good. Important to have a strong working relationship. Absolutely. He smiled at me. The same smile I'd fallen in love with 28 years ago. Thanks for trying to bring me lunch, though. That was sweet. Anytime. We sat there for a while. Him eating lasagna, me pretending to read. Like a normal married couple on a Tuesday night. Except nothing was normal anymore. I waited until he was asleep. Nolan always slept deeply. Years of running on caffeine and adrenaline had trained him to shut down completely when he finally crashed. By midnight, he was out cold. I went to his study. The door was never locked. Why would it be? I was his wife. He trusted me. His laptop was on the desk, closed but not locked. I knew his password, had known it for years. It was our wedding date. I opened the laptop, my hands shaking slightly, feeling like a criminal in my own home. His email was already open. Thousands of messages. I didn't know where to start. So I started with his calendar. The appointments looked normal at first. Glance, meetings, board calls, conferences. But then I started noticing patterns. Dinner with W, 7 o'clock p.m. at Il Posto. That was 2 weeks ago. Il Posto was a romantic Italian restaurant in the West Loop. Candlelit. Tables, live piano music. Not a place. You take your VP for a business dinner. Weekend retreat, Grand Geneva Resort. Scheduled for last month. I scrolled to the resort's website. $450 a night for the suites. Nolan had told me it was a leadership conference. I pulled up his credit card statements, found the charge. For Grand Geneva. 2 rooms, both on the corporate card.
No, wait.
1 room, the other charge was canceled. 1 room, 2 people. My stomach dropped. I kept digging, found more dinners, more trips. A pattern spanning back nearly 3 years. But it was all coded, all undeniable. Business dinners, corporate retreats, team building exercises, except Ren's name appeared on every single one. I closed the laptop and went to the bedroom, stood in the doorway watching Nolan sleep. He looked peaceful, innocent. I trusted him completely. Never questioned, never doubted, and he'd been lying to me for 3 years. The next morning, I called in sick to work. First time in 6 years. I was a senior accountant at Monroe and Associates, a mid-sized firm in the Loop. Good job. Stable, boring. The kind of career that pays the bills but doesn't make 4. Interesting dinner party conversation. Nolan made 3 times what I made. Edith never resented that his success was our success, or so I thought. After Nolan left for work, kissing my forehead and telling me to feel better, I started really digging. I went through every drawer in his study, every file cabinet, every box in his closet, in the back of his desk drawer, tucked inside an old watch box he never opened. I found a key, just a key, silver standard, apartment key, no label, but attached to. It was a keychain tag with an address. Harbor View Apartments, Unit 214. Harbor View was a luxury apartment complex in River North. I'd driven past it dozens of times. 30-story building, floor-to-ceiling windows, the kind of place where a studio started at $2,500 a month. I grabbed the key and drove. There, the parking garage had spaces marked with unit numbers. Space 214 had a black Mercedes GLE parked in it. Ren Sterling's car. I recognized it from the company parking lot. My hands were shaking as I took the elevator up to the 2nd floor. Found unit 214. The key fit. The door opened. Inside was a fully furnished apartment, not a temporary rental, a home. Hardwood floors, modern furniture, fresh flowers on the coffee table. The air smelled like Nolan's cologne, the expensive one he only wore for special occasions. Photos on the mantle showed Nolan and Ren at a beach, at a restaurant, on a hiking trail. In every single picture, Nolan wasn't wearing his wedding ring. I walked through the apartment in a daze. The kitchen had 2 sets of dishes, 2 coffee mugs on the counter, his and hers. The bedroom made me physically ill. A king-size bed with expensive linens, Nolan's clothes in the closet, hanging next to Ren's dresses, his shoes lined up next to hers like they'd been living together for years, like they were married. On the dresser, I found a folder labeled future plans in Nolan's distinctive handwriting. I opened it. Real estate listings, houses in Evanston, Oak Park, Wilmette, all in the $800,000 to $1.2 million range, all circled with notes in the margins. Good. Schools nearby, schools close to Rennes. Parents love the kitchen, travel. Brochures, Santorini, Tokyo, New Zealand, dream honeymoon destinations. And underneath all of that, legal documents, divorce consultation. Summaries dated from 18 months ago. Nolan had met with 3 different divorce attorneys shopping for the best deal. The notes were clinical cold. Strategy. Frame as irreconcilable. Differences. Cite Cora's lack of ambition and emotional distance. Document instances of her failure to support my career growth. Instances he'd been building a case against me. There were pages of examples, times I'd supposedly undermined him by asking him to skip work events, times I'd been emotionally unavailable by not wanting to discuss corporate politics at dinner, times I'd shown lack of ambition by being content with my accounting job. Every normal marital friction point reframed as evidence of my inadequacy. The most recent note dated 3 weeks ago. Timeline. File for divorce by January 2025. Finalized by June. Wedding with W. By Christmas 2025. He had it all planned out, every detail. My replacement was already living with him part-time. There. Future home was already picked out. I was just the obstacle he needed to remove. I photographed everything, every page, every document, every photo. Then I sat on their couch in their apartment in their secret life, and tried to process the fact that my 28-year marriage had been a lie for at least 3 years. I went back to my car and just drove. No destination, just drove. My phone rang at 3:47 p.m. Nolan. I let it go to voicemail. He called. Again at 4:15 p.m. Then 4:32 p.m. Then sent a text. Where are you? Are you feeling better? I didn't respond. At 6 p.m. I pulled into a parking lot and finally listened to his voicemails. Hey, just checking in. Hope you're feeling better. Call me when you get this. Cora, I'm getting worried. You're not answering. Are you okay? Seriously? Where are you? I'm about to call hospitals. Please call me back. The concern in his voice sounded so real, so genuine. He was good, really good. I called him back. Oh, thank God. He answered immediately. Where have you been? I was so worried. Just drove around. Needed to clear my head. I'm fine. You scared me. Are you coming home? Home? What a joke. Yeah, I'll be there soon. Good. I'm leaving work early. I'll pick up Thai food on the way. Your favorite. My favorite. He still remembered my favorite food, still pretended to care about the small details. Sounds good. Love you. He said. Yeah. I replied. You too. I hung up before he could hear the crack in my voice. That night we ate Thai food at our dining room table. Nolan told me about his day, some crisis with a client, a difficult board member, their usual corporate drama. I nodded in the right places, made appropriate comments, played the role of supportive wife, all while knowing that in a few months he planned to divorce me and marry Ren Sterling. After dinner, he suggested we watch a movie. We settled on the couch, his head on my shoulder, just like we'd done 1,000 times before. Except now I could smell his cologne, the expensive one, and I knew he'd been at that apartment today, living his other life with his other wife, Cora. He said during a quiet moment in the movie. Yeah, are we okay? You seem distant. Distant. That word from his notes, part of his case against me. I'm fine. Just not feeling great still. Okay. He squeezed my hand. Let me know if you need anything. I will. We finished the movie, went to bed. He fell asleep, almost immediately curled on his side. I lay awake until 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling, planning my next move. The next morning, I called in sick again. Nolan left for work at 7:15 a.m. kissing my forehead and telling me to rest. The second he was gone, I went back to his study. I'd been an accountant for 22 years. I knew how to find financial irregularities, and now that I knew what I was looking for, the pattern was obvious. Our joint checking account showed consistent deposits from both our paychecks. Mine's $6,200 monthly after taxes. Nolan's roughly $11,000 monthly after taxes, but our expenses, mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance, everything came to about $8,500 monthly. We should have been saving about $8,700 a month. Over 3 years, that should be over $300,000 in savings. Our savings account had $47,000, where had $250,000 gone. I pulled up Nolan's personal credit card. The one he claimed was for business expenses that get reimbursed. Harborview Apartments, $3,200 monthly. Rent for 3 years, $115,200. Furniture, $24,000 in purchases from West Elm, Pottery Barn, Crate and Barrel. Travel, $31,000 to various luxury destinations. Dining, hundreds of charges at expensive restaurants. He'd been funding his entire secret life with our joint money, my money, while I'd been eating leftovers and driving a 10-year-old Honda Civic. He'd been playing house with Ren Sterling in a $3,200 a month apartment using money I'd earned. I documented everything, downloaded 3 years of bank statements, credit card records, investment account, transfers. Then I started looking at Meridian Technologies' corporate filings. This was where my accounting background really paid off. I knew how to read financial statements, how to spot irregularities, how to see the story behind the numbers, and the story was damning. Nolan had been restructuring the company quietly without board approval to position Ren Sterling as his successor. He'd moved resources into her department, given her control over key accounts, positioned her for a promotion to COO, a position that didn't exist yet. He was building her a golden ladder to the top while making himself look like a kingmaker, but he'd done it by redirecting company resources without proper authorization, by making financial decisions that benefited his personal relationship rather than shareholder interests. That was corporate misconduct, possibly fraud. I took screenshots of everything, organized it into folders, built a timeline. Then I called Richard Callaway. Richard Callaway was the chairman of Meridian Technologies' board of directors. I'd met him twice at company events. Retired hedge fund manager, late 60s, sharp as a tack. Cora Hartman, I said when he answered. Nolan's wife. We met at the holiday party 2 years ago. Of course. How are you? Is Nolan all right? He's fine. I'm actually calling about some concerns I have regarding the company. A pause. What kind of concerns? The kind that involve unauthorized corporate restructuring and misuse of company resources. Do you have time to meet today? Another pause, longer this time. I can be at your office in 2 hours. I work from home. I'll text you the address. Richard Callaway arrived at 2 p.m. sharp, tall, silver-haired, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my car. I offered him coffee. He accepted. We sat in my living room, the room where Nolan and I had watched movies and celebrated anniversaries and built a life together. The room that was apparently just a set piece in his double life. Show me what you've got, Richard said. I pulled out my laptop and walked him through everything.
The
Apartment, the photos, the divorce. Planning documents, the corporate. Restructuring. His expression grew. Darker with every revelation. Jesus. Christ, he muttered when I showed him. The financial irregularities. He's been redirecting capital expenditure budgets. Without board approval, as far as I can. Tell, and specifically to benefit Ren. Sterling's department. Why would he do that? I pulled up the photos from the apartment. Richard's jaw tightened. They're having an affair. More than that, they're living together part-time. He's planning to divorce me and marry her, and he's been positioning her to take over the company. That's a massive conflict of interest. He has a fiduciary duty to the board, to the shareholders. He stopped, ran a hand through his hair. Do you have copies of all this? Everything's in this folder. I handed him a USB drive. Bank records, corporate filings, photos, timeline, all of it. I need to call an emergency board meeting. I figured. He stood up. Cora, I'm sorry for what he's done to you personally, but also thank you. If this had gone unchecked much longer, the damage to the company could have been catastrophic. I'm not doing this for revenge, I said, though that was partly a lie. I'm doing it because it's the truth, and I'm done pretending not to see what's right in front of me. Richard shook my hand. I'll be in touch. Nolan came home at 6:15 p.m., earlier than usual. I was making dinner chicken, stir-fry, something simple. When he walked in, one look at his face told me Richard had already called the emergency board meeting. You son of a, he said. His voice was shaking. You called Richard Calloway. My own wife is trying to destroy my career. I kept stirring. The vegetables didn't turn around. I shared some information I thought the board should have. That's all. Information. You showed him private photos. You went through my personal files. Your personal files in our shared apartment. Your personal life funded by our joint bank account. He grabbed my arm, spun me around. This is different. This is my professional reputation and sleeping with your VP while restructuring the company to benefit her. Personally, that's professional. His face went pale. What do you want? He asked quietly. Money? The house? What? I don't want anything from you, Nolan. You set this in motion 3 years ago. I'm just refusing to be the fool while you execute your plan. What plan? I pulled out my phone, showed him the photos I'd taken at the apartment. His face in every picture. The folder labeled future plans. This plan, the one where you divorce me by January, marry Ren by Christmas, and live happily ever after. In your Evanston dream home. He sat down heavily on a kitchen chair. How did you? I found the key to your other life. Nolan, 28 years. I supported every decision you made, every late night, every business trip, every sacrifice. Because I loved you. Because I thought we were building something together.
we
No, you were building an exit strategy, and I was funding it. He started crying, real tears this time, not the manipulative kind. I'm sorry. I never meant for it to happen like this. How did you mean for it to happen? Were you going to tell me before or after you filed for divorce? He didn't answer. That's what I thought. I turned off the stove, grabbed my keys. Where are you going? He asked. Hotel. I'll have divorce papers drawn up by Monday. Wait. There's nothing left to say, Nolan. You made your choice years ago. I'm just catching up. I filed for divorce that Monday. Jennifer Kowalski, a family law attorney with 23 years of experience. She looked at my evidence and whistled. This is one of the clearest cases of marital misconduct I've ever seen. The secret apartment, the financial deception, the documented timeline of him planning to leave you. You're going to do very well in this. Divorce. I don't care about doing well. I just want out. You should care. He used marital funds to support an affair. That's financial infidelity. Illinois. Law takes that seriously. The board. Meeting happened that same afternoon. I wasn't there, but Richard called me at 5:47 p.m. Ren Sterling has been terminated effective immediately. Nolan's on administrative probation. His authority is severely restricted pending a full investigation and the restructuring being reversed. We've hired a forensic accountant to do a complete audit. If we find he violated fiduciary duty or committed fraud, he could face criminal charges, not just termination. Jesus, he built this house of cards. Cora, you just knocked it down. Nolan called me that night. I was in a Marriott near O'Hare eating takeout, Chinese, and watching ESPN. You've destroyed everything, he said. He was crying. Rain lost ketchup. The board is investigating me. My career is over. How could you do this? How could I? My voice was ice. You spent 3 years planning my replacement. You stole $250,000 from our joint account to fund your affair. You committed corporate fraud to benefit your lover. And you're asking how I could do this. I was going to tell. You went after you filed for divorce. After you married Run by Christmas, like you planned. Silence. You knew about that. I know everything, Nolan. The apartment, the lawyers, the timeline, the real estate listings, all of it. Please, his voice broke. We can fix this. I'll end things with Ren. We can go to counseling. I'll do anything. Ren already lost her job because of you, and now you want to abandon her, too. At least be consistent in who you betray. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed. It sounded bitter even to me. You want to talk about fair? You spent 28 years building my trust just so you could execute the perfect betrayal. You documented every small argument as evidence against me. You built a legal case while I was cooking dinner and doing laundry and supporting your career. I loved you. No, you loved what I provided. Stability, financial security, a foundation you could stand on while you built your empire. And the second you found someone who fit your life better, you started planning to trade me in. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. And you know what the worst part is? You were going to make me the villain. All those notes about my lack of ambition, my emotional distance, my failure to support your career. You were going to divorce me and make it my fault. He was sobbing now. Please, Cora. 28 years. That has to mean something. It did. Past tense. You killed it when you got the key to apartment 214. I hung up. He tried calling back 6 times. I blocked his number. The divorce took for months. Nolan fought it initially. But Jennifer was right. The evidence was overwhelming. I got the house. He got to keep his car and his damaged reputation. Every dollar of the $250,000 he'd siphoned into apartment 214 came straight back out of his half of the settlement, line by documented line. The board investigation concluded that Nolan had violated his fiduciary duty by restructuring the company to benefit his personal relationship. He was forced to resign in March 2025. No golden parachute, no generous severance, just gone. The forensic audit found everything I'd found and more, and the board referred the whole file to their attorneys to decide on criminal charges. Ren Sterling filed a lawsuit against both Nolan and Meridian Tech claiming wrongful termination. It was dismissed. Turns out having an affair with your CEO and benefiting from unauthorized. Corporate restructuring is actually a fireable offense. Last I heard, they broke up 3 months after everything collapsed. Ren blamed Nolan for ruining her career. Nolan blamed Ren for not being worth the sacrifice. Neither of them took any responsibility for their own choices. He spent 28 years letting me hold his whole life steady so he could gamble on everything else. And then he planned every detail of the future he was building without me. He just forgot one thing about the life he was trading in. I'm the one who reads the numbers.